Good evening. My name is David, and tonight we're beginning a game of Fight with Spirit. Fight with Spirit is a game by Story Brewers Role Playing. It is a game of sports drama. This kind of for those who have played Good Society, another game by Story Brewers, this game kind of takes on a little of the DNA of that, as well as some bits of its own. So you may see some familiarity with that if you are familiar with that game. So I'm going to, in a moment, I'll give a proper introduction to the game with the cats that I usually do at the beginning, standing for concept, aim, tone, and subject matter. The game tonight is being run, arranged through the Gauntlet, which is an online role-playing group. We have a calendar online where we arrange sessions of games much like this one. If you are interested in any of that, you can see what games are being run, sign up for empty slots, waitlist yourself for games where there aren't empty slots, anything like that. You can also see we have a number of podcasts. We have a gaming magazine called Codex. We publish a couple of games of our own. You can find information on all of that stuff at the website, which is gauntlet-rpg.com. So do go and check that out if any of this interests you. But tonight, as I said, we'll be playing Fight with Spirit. I will start off go with a quick introduction to that. I forgot to write anything down for this one this time, unfortunately, so I'll be kind of doing it off the cuff. So apologies if I go down many digressions and so on and so forth. But the concept of this game, as I mentioned, it is a game about sports drama. And specifically here, we're talking about sports drama. Not actually, this is not a game about simulating the play of sports. This is a game about emulating the kind of, particularly like sports anime, things like Haikyuu, Prince of Tennis, various other bits and pieces like that, where you essentially have a team of young sports people, either sort of high school, university age, depending, who go through, have bonds and rivalries and so on and so forth between each other and their rival teams, have big important sports matches with important moments where their emotional connection to the game is challenged, and so on and so forth, until hopefully they eventually win the big tournament or what have you. As I said, this is not a game that concerns itself with, like I said, simulating the actual minute-to-minute play of a sport. Sorry, Rich. But we did have a little chat about that the other day. But so we don't need to worry too much about the specifics of the sport in question. We will use it more to flavor our play than anything else. Additionally, for this specific run of the game, I've sort of I pitched that we run in a slightly different setting to the kind of assumed setting of the game itself, and particularly the quick start that's available currently, as this game has just gone through Kickstarter. So we just have a quick start set of rules available at the minute. Rather than kind of doing this in a sort of contemporary setting, I'm going for more. My intention is to go for a more kind of historic play with this game. We'll be playing at a English boys boarding school in the 1920s, focusing on their cricket team. So that's kind of my initial pitch for this, as it were. So that's kind of that bit of it. The aim, as I kind of mentioned, there's sort of a couple of the main aim in terms of what we're looking to do here as players is both to explore our characters, their relationships with one another, with other rivals, friends, family, what have you. Sort of explore those relationships, explore their relationship to the sport they play, and as well as obviously looking to win games. And we'll get more into the mechanics of how that works next time. I may mention a couple of bits as they pertain to kind of other aspects of the game we encountered before then, but the main obviously there are kind of some slightly more mechanical rules, as it were, once we get into the games themselves. These are played, in fact, actually, these are played a little bit like, again, almost like if you've played any Firebrands games. I feel like there's a bit of a resonance between the way matches are played in this and those sort of games, where you kind of have prompts and things like that to resolve. But again, we'll touch on all that next time. So yeah, those primarily are our aims. In terms of like specific aims, more in the meta sense here, we'll be playing using the quick start rules. The quick start rules are obviously a more limited version of what will eventually be available. So part of that is the way the games is split up is, again, if you've played Good Society, this has a similar sort of idea of a cycle of play where you have different phases that you pass through. Depending on which phase you are, we do things slightly differently. So today, my expectation is that we will do our initial setting and character creation. We will begin our first cycle of play, which will start with like an opening credits segment. We'll then go into some sort of event where all the characters are present, which is more of your kind of like free open role play section. The next phase after that will be the match, though. I think we'll be getting onto that next time, given the time constraints and that sort. So the suggestion in the book. We will then proceed with the rest of the cycle next time. We'll kick off the next one, and basically the second two sessions of the four we're playing will be concerning themselves with the final of the tournament and the lead up to and the match in that. So that's sort of what our structure should look like, all told. We'll see how timing stuff is going in general. If we get through stuff quickly, we may condense that time frame a little bit. But like I said, we'll see how that goes. So tone-wise, this game there's some drama in there. There is emotional stuff. We will be dealing with, with sort of teen characters, and so in general, we want to keep sort of the content sort of roughly suitable for that kind of age range. We'll have a bit of a discussion. This part will actually form part of our initial setup of the game, is having a discussion about what sort of tone and like we want to see for the game in general. So I won't go into too much detail on that now. But broadly speaking, this is not a game about violence. This is not a game about horror. This is not a game about anything like that, really. This is, as I said, not necessarily always going to be light-hearted, but it is essentially a fairly low stakes game outside of the fact, outside obviously of the fact of the sport, which is obviously the most important thing. But that's the kind of the premise there. The other thing that again, we'll get into a bit more about this in the second one. We'll get into the sort of safety and content side of it. As I said, my intent for this, and again, we'll have a check-in about all that in a moment, but is to run this, like I said, in a 1920s boarding school. This means we might be touching on sort of some elements of like period typical institutional bigotries in general, but particularly homophobia that sort of thing. We'll have a discussion on to what extent we want to deal with that. It won't be a big focus regardless, but that's just something that could potentially come up. Just to be aware. As I said, more in our thing, and how authentic we want to be on that is also a discussion we'll have. But that is kind of another where I'm diverging slightly from the kind of assumed setting to go for a more historical setting. That's something we might touch upon, but it's not a big part of this. So yeah, finally, content, or I should say subject matter, to finish off the acronym properly. As I said, the subject matter in this we'll be dealing with teenagers. We have the potential for things like fairly tense relationships, rivalries, issues with parents, all that sort of thing could potentially come up. That's sort of the main things I think that we could see in there. We could see some romance. That is absolutely a possibility, though we'll obviously want to avoid any graphic sexuality and anything sort of too intense on that front. We'll have again discussion about that properly in our safety tools. There shouldn't be any, like, beyond a couple of kids having a scrap, there shouldn't be any violence, and definitely no graphic violence, threats of death, that sort of thing won't be on the table. It's just not really on genre for that. Bullying, that's another thing, again, potentially could come in. We're in a sort of school setting, but I think broadly speaking, like I said, I don't think this is going to be a game that has a particularly high rating when it comes to sort of subject matter. But yeah, that is broadly what the game is and what we'll be doing today. I have kind of alluded to it already, but we will be talking a bit about our safety tools. I know most of you have played with me before, so well, I know all of you have played with me before, so familiar with the sort of safety tools I will be using, but I will introduce them regardless. We'll be using the X card as ever. So this is used obviously for if anything comes up that you're not happy with in the game, whether that's because it's just subject matter you're not happy with, somebody's missed a line that was in there and in the heat of the moment, or you just feel like tonally it's off and isn't really going to add to the game. You can kind of say, I don't want that in there, by just sort of doing an X with your hands, putting an X in the chat, saying X over. You'd like to X card it over the voice. Usual caveat from me: I'm not always looking at the Zoom screen when I'm GMing. We're maybe looking at one or other pages somewhere else. So if you want to make sure of getting that attention quickly, voice is the best way. If you notice that someone has kind of put an X in the chat or similar, and I don't seem to have noticed it, feel free to kind of shout out on their behalf as well. That's fine. As ever, I won't ask you to explain why you want to X card something. I might need to ask you to clarify what exactly is you're X carding if it's not imminently clear. I'll be using script change. So as ever, we have pause when you just want to stop things for a moment, whether that's for a quick out of character chat to go and answer the door, or you just need a quick break in the middle of a scene because the other week for me, I was losing my voice and occasionally had to pause to drink some water. There's also fast forward, which is used if we just want to skip over something. If maybe a scene's getting, again, probably not so much an issue with this one, but if there's a scene's getting a bit graphic or whatever, and you don't want to go into that much detail, you want to move on, or if a scene's just getting a bit overly long, we just want to get to the end and resolve it. Finally, rewind, which can be used just kind of retcon something that's happened, to go back, do things differently, make any other changes we want, even if it's just like, oh, actually I realized I didn't quite phrase that the way I wanted to. Anything like that we can use rewind for. We'll also be playing under the open door policy. This is just to say if at any point you need to leave, feel free to do so, whether that be to take a quick break or because you need to leave the rest of the session or the rest of the series because you're just not getting on with it, whatever else. That if you need to leave, that's fine. If you can let me know if you're either going to be gone for 5 minutes or if you've got to leave the rest of the session. It's useful to know just for my planning, but if you don't have the capacity to do so, then don't worry about it. We will make do. On that front as well, I'll be kind of arranging breaks about every hour or so, of about 5 minutes. But we'll as ever, if you need a break at any other point, either just feel free to step away, call a pause, or I'll just say like, oh, actually, is it okay if we take a break after the scene or whatever? Any of that's cool. Awesome. Finally, we'll be using lines and veils. There is a safety and resources tab in here that we will be going through. So the I see some people have started filling this already, so that's cool. So yeah, if you want to, on here, lines are obviously things that we won't have in, veils are things we will not make focus, we'll fade to black, we'll gloss over, whatever else needs to be done. Ask first is where that can be okay, but we just don't want to make it too big a deal in what we're doing. We also have a thing for interested if there's something in particular you do want to see that's on there. Or something that you want to note that you might be interested in doing that, but you want to give people a warning in case it's something they're not happy to see. So there's also at the side space for notes if you want to make note of anything that you want to add in there, just to say kind of, oh, I'm happy with this in general, but I don't want it to happen to my character, or can we, in general, this is fine, but can we specifically not do this one thing that might come under that heading, anything like that. We'll also be using sort of our little romance checklist here. This is just a way of indicating whether you as a player are comfortable with your character being involved with sort of romance with either other player characters or with NPCs, or both or neither. Feel free to fill in your choices on there. What I do want to make clear with this is obviously this is a thing about player comfort with this subject matter. If somebody has put that they aren't happy with it being involved in relationships with the if they said they're not happy with it, then please also things like no kind of unrequited love, anything like that, just leave it alone. So this is a player comfort thing. Obviously, when it comes to characters, just because a player said they're in general happy with romance options, that doesn't bind their characters to any particular relationships, and so on and so forth. I'm just going to pause the recording for a moment while we go over our lines and veils. Right, so with our safety tools, well, I shouldn't say out of the way, with our safety tools sort of set up, calibrated, we'll go into the first phase that we play as part of this, which is referred to as collaboration. Again, if you've played Good Society before, you'll be familiar with this sort of basic premise. The first thing we will discuss is, well, actually, I'll give an overview on what the collaboration thing is first, because I've essentially made a couple of choices already, which we can discuss, but it's sort of either part of the premise or part of shall we say my expertise. So there are three elements that we decide first as part of, well, technically four, actually I suppose, which is on those three, only three things that we discuss here, which is the tone of the game. There are three options for this, which are a troubled heart, a free heart, and a heavy heart. The default in there at the minute is a troubled heart, which is kind of the medium one, but we'll get onto that in a moment. We then have a level of sports depth that we're happy with, which is like a little depth again, a moderate amount of depth or lots of depth. I have pre-selected a little depth because I am by no means an expert in cricket myself. I appreciate it's a game that's not super popular outside of Britain and the Commonwealth. So people's familiarities with it may be different.
Don't forget India.
I'm gonna walk onto thinner ice and say it's a relatively simple game, all told. There's just a lot of jargon around it, which is, I think, where things get really confusing. The actual.
I found this image with the positions, and I honestly can't tell if it's a joke or if it's serious.
Well, the fielding positions are all jargon. Their names are almost arbitrary because they move about.
Yeah,
in response to what the batsman, the batsman's tendencies and things like that. So somebody just had a name for them all. American baseball is more complicated than cricket.
Mm-hmm.
As a sport, it has considerably more rules.
So it's just from the names, I can't tell if these are the real jargon names or if they are joke jargon names.
They're probably the real names.
they're probably both the real names and jokes, because that's basically how the terminology evolved in a lot of cases. The reason, for instance, that the position is called silly mid-on is because it's a very silly place to stand. You are very likely to get hit with a ball going very fast. That's very much part of it. I'll see if I can scrape together a quick jargon list just for people to pepper their talk with. But that's as I said, that's why you said the it's also one of these games where the actual strategy in cricket is very, very obscure. The rules of the game and how to play are quite simple, but the actually trying to come up with any real strategies is sort of well beyond my comprehension. The third option. Yeah,
I found out which is very concise, and it gives you the basics of what an innings is, and bowling and batting, and since that's 99% of the game, it serves very well.
Excellent. And the third thing we would choose as part of our collaboration is whether we're playing like at a high school or college sports level. If you're playing at a high school level, it's assumed that you'll be like 15 to 18, sort of upper end of high school, in terms of a British boarding school at the time. That would be the fifth and sixth form, split into the upper and lower fifth and the upper and lower sixth, covering that sort of 4-year span. Again, that's also terminology that isn't super important other than to exist. The other option would be college sports, so like 18 to 20s. But we'll, like I said, my intention for this was we will be going for playing in a boarding school. So we'll have a proper chat in a second, and if people want to push back on that, whether that's cool, we can switch it to university. But that was sort of my initial pitch to that. So what I will do now is we'll go back to the tone. Fight with Spirit is a game about friendships, feelings, and the difficulties of growing up. This game focuses on changing relationships and capturing a moment when the future is unknown. It is better when you lean into the drama and complexity of the characters' lives. Picking a tone will help guide your group to explore that drama in a way that is fun for everyone. So together we will choose a heart for this game. So the 3 hearts, as they're described for this, are a free heart, which is hopes and dreams lie ahead waiting for us. The world is filled with possibility, and even in our darkest moments, we know we can find our way together. A troubled heart is knowing what you want is not so easy, and getting it is even harder. We are our own worst enemies. Can we battle through our feelings? And the third one is a heavy heart, which is dark, grim, passionate, and angry. The world is hostile and unkind. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, but it fades easily from view. So, does anyone have any initial thoughts on where we would like to pitch this?
I just don't want the heavy heart. I'm fine with either of the others.
I like a troubled heart, especially in the 1920s. Especially, I mean, just thinking of it historically, World War One is still green in everyone's memory. And while we were too young to have gone there, it's hard to rationalize that the world is is a neat and well ordered place so soon after that. So I'd pick a troubled heart.
Yep, I'm cool with either troubled or fair, and I think I was also leaning towards troubled.
Sure, I'm fine with troubled as well.
It's because
Yeah, sure thing. That sounds good to me. So yeah, as I said, we would then discuss depth and age group, but I just want to check in that everyone is happy with going for that sort of 15 to 18 age group. Is that cool? Yeah, perfect. And like I said, I think the sports depth is probably, I feel like, a natural limit there. So the next thing we can discuss is both things that we want to avoid in our game, and this is like above and beyond the lines and veils we set down. So this isn't stuff that we're necessarily avoiding for safety reasons, but it might just be like, oh, I really hate that one cliche where a thing happens. I just don't, I just find it a bit boring or whatever. And obviously what we want to see is stuff that you really want us to explore, and we'll try and touch on as part of the game. So I'm just going to ask this one actually around in order that I can see my screen at the minute. So Stephen, how about yourself? Do you have, and at this point, anything you want to add to either of those, either something you do want to see or something you don't want to see?
So sorry about this, but which tab are we on? I'm just having trouble finding it.
Oh, no, collaboration, yeah. Just down towards the bottom of that page.
Oh, okay, I see. So, okay, we're all, I see. All right. I think that I would I guess something I would like to see is maybe still some ruin and desolation to things, as Brandon brought up.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
It doesn't necessarily need to be fresh, but I like the idea that there's still some desolation kind of either in the foreground or background.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe the sort of the fact that there's almost a missing generation, right, for Britons in the 1920s. There's because so many young men of military age were killed in the war.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah, we can definitely work some of that in, I'm sure. So yeah, Brandon, I'll come to you next as your next person on my screen. Anything either you would like to see or that you don't want to see come up?
This is a very mild thing, but I've had my fill of Cinderella sports movies. But in this case, I don't think it applies because St. Osana's was a powerhouse at one time. So, you know, I'll just mention that.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
As far as I don't want to have sort of any inevitability, feeling of inevitability that the story has to tend towards winning. I want it to feel like it does if it happens. And things that I'd like to see. Well, the setting is inherent in most of the things I want to see, which is, just stories of individual triumphs and tragedies. But yeah, I'll echo what Stephen says, which is that I'd like us to be in a setting of that's kind of starts in a setting of with loss in it.
Yeah.
Missing fathers or older brothers, or things like that.
Sure thing. Cool.
So I'll put that in explicitly.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much. Maria, how about you? Anything you would like to see or not see in the game?
I think most people have already covered, and like Lines and Veils already covers what I don't want to see in the game. I can't think of anything else. But for things I do want to see in the game, I think I want to see, like, we're all on the cricket team, but I kind of want to see, like, even when you're in school and you're doing a sport, you still have like that other thing that you're really into, that like maybe you're really passionate about, or you like music, or like there's things outside of cricket. So I want to see that side of their lives as well, and how they get excited about it. Or
awesome, yeah. And yeah, there are some bits in the some prompts in the game that specifically into that, so that's good. Hopefully we will get to see some of that, but yeah, that's cool to know that that's something we do. You definitely like to come up. So yeah, do be thinking about that, everyone. Awesome, thank you. And Anders, any things that you would either like to see or not in this game?
Yeah, I think things I don't want to see, we've already covered with the Lines and Veils. What I want to see, I think, and maybe this is something that's mechanical, and in that case we'll just deal with it then. But otherwise, I just want to see us come together as a team, I guess, like having our differences, but when it at least at some point when it comes down to it, whether it's in a match or outside the pitch, that we like come together, that sort of thing. I really enjoy that in the sports sports fiction. So that's something I want to have happen at some point. If there's a good situation for it, I don't want to force just put it in there because, but no, something I would enjoy to have come up in.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and likewise, I think as you kind of mentioned, I think some of the mechanics is going to kind of push that sort of idea, or enable that idea. But yeah, no, absolutely, I think that would be a cool thing to see. Awesome. Does anyone else have anything else they want to add, either as something they want to see or something they don't want to see? Feel free to shout out now. Or if not, we can always add stuff in later. But I think that gives a good starting point. Yeah, we will just touch on the team building. Will be our next port of call. So this is just to kind of get some initial grounding for the team. Again, some of this is this is sort of based on the quick start version at the minute. So the at the minute there is kind of one playable team and then two rival teams. I think it says in the quick start thing that the two rival teams will eventually will also be playable in the final game, and there will also be more teams in general. So I have switched around the names slightly from the quick start as well. As traditionally, we certainly with school sports, but in sports in general, in England, we don't tend to go in so much for the something or other things. It doesn't tend to be a normal naming format, though it is with more modern sports teams, but not so historically. Yeah, as I said, you'll be playing a team from St. Osana's School for Boys, a boarding school in on the North Yorkshire moors. There are two rival teams who we'll introduce properly in a moment, but there is Shipton Academy, who is another local school who are doing very well for themselves. And then there is the rising newcomers in the league, Hades Grammar School, who are actually the school from the same town that St. Osana's is in, but whereas St. Osana's is a private school, Hades Grammar is the local state school. That's kind of the very vague pitch for where you'll be. But St. Osana's are the fallen champs. Your fallen team. Once your school was the powerhouse of the region, but in the years you've been here, you've never even made it to the finals. For years, your school has been bleeding talent, funding, and passion to new schools opening up in the area. You know what the other teams say about you. They talk about how far you have fallen. Last year, your team captain couldn't even bring themselves to enter you into a major tournament. Your comeback is now. But this year, things are different. Since the day school began, you and your teammates practiced your heart out and gave your all to make your team the best it can be. You proudly showed your face again at the, well, I didn't correct that bit in my text, but the Yorkshire Boys Cricket League, and made it through the first few rounds, knocking out your early opponents. Now you've reached the semi-finals and many eyes are on your team for the first time in years. Now you'll show them all you're back and better than ever. So we have a few choices to make here from drop downs. So again, I will just ask these through in order of what I can see on screen. So I'll start again with you, Stephen, if that's okay. What is your coach like, if you would like to make one of the choices from that list?
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, let's go with an old boy from school back as master and coach looking to relive their glory days.
Awesome, awesome. And the second one, Brandon, if you'd like to pick from that. So this is what is our school like?
We're up in Yorkshire, yeah. So I'm going to go with the gloomy Gothic pile. Barely warmed out of sun, even in the summer.
Excellent, excellent.
It's all about being cold.
Yeah, yeah. Next is the team relationships. So what is our relationship with the reigning powerhouse, Shipton Academy? So Maria, if you would like to pick that one.
Let's see. I think I think practice partner would be interesting. If
Yeah.
that works. Like
Awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So let's just flip back. Nope, I've just selected the wrong one. Sorry about that. But there we go. Awesome. Perfect. Thank you. And Anders, if you would like to answer our final question, which is, what is our relationship with the rising newcomers, Hades Grammar School?
Yeah, I want to go with the local kids.
Yep, that certainly makes sense. Cool. So the final thing, and this one will be for everyone to do, will be you have a move called Demons Under Ire. This is basically this will kind of fuel your special move, which we'll touch on perhaps a little bit in later on. But basically, people say a lot of things about your team. Which ones get to you most? So you can basically each come up with one thing, one rumor, one insult, whatever else that people say about your school team that gets to you.
This can be things that have to do with sport or not.
Yeah, it can be sport. It can be either be to do with specifically your sports team or just about your sort of like school in general.
Right.
And yeah, obviously there doesn't necessarily have to be any truth behind them. There may be, who's to say? But this is just to kind of get the what the scuttlebutt on your team is when we come into play. So I will come back around to you, Stephen, if that's okay for the first one, and I will write these ones in just to avoid overwriting stuff.
Sure. I think yeah, I guess like something they say is, and this is something I am actually, let me just double check over here in safety. Yeah, I think that what they say is that our coaches like what's the word? Malingerer. I think that he probably developed PTSD symptoms during the war, and so was unable to had to be like relieved from the fighting midway through. And there's still a lot of accusations about malingering surrounding PTSD at the period.
May I suggest that the period term might have been coward?
Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, and Brandon, how about you?
Some of the players are on the team because of their parents' influence and money, and not because of their talent. And perhaps that's the reason why the team went to hell.
Thank you very much. And yeah, Maria.
I think there are people who take a look at our school, and I think they say that maybe the reason why so many people on this team are here because of their parents' influence and money and not their talent is because our school lost a lot of tuition during the war. Like, people stopped sending their kids here because things were hard, and St. Osana's is hard pressed for money.
Perhaps even that the rumors that it might fold.
Yeah, like people are saying, well, at least they have this one good thing going on right now, because who knows how many more.
Yeah, but this might be the last season. Not because of the student body, because the school might close.
I mean, unless the prince or whatever sends their kid here, which look at the place.
Yes.
Excellent. I like it. Yeah, and Antosh, how about you?
I'd like something like that. Our players are like undisciplined or hotheads or something like that. Some very clear stereotype about what kind of people are on the team.
And take the pressure, or just poor. Do you mean like they can't take the pressure, or do they mean just sort of poor sports, or what?
I think more like we're glory hounds, like individual glory hounds, more than like more interested in individual
looking good than in working doing teamwork.
Yeah.
Awesome. Right, I have entered those. Oops, I'll just adjust the frame a little. There we go. Cool. So yeah, those are the things that are rumored about your, or said about your team currently. We will, like I said, there's one of the games that may come up later kind of touches on some of these, but for the time being, they're mostly there as inspiration. So what I will do, if just as we kind of take our first break, I'll just introduce kind of the character sheet here. So as ever, you will see that again, broadly should look a little similar from Good Society, but what you'll see here, that your character will have 2 traits. Again, in the quick start setup at the minute, there are 10 traits in total. 5 of these traits are kind of intended to be sort of a good core starting trait, essentially. So you'll see each one of these columns has been filled in with one of those like core traits, which are our new captain, the quitter returns, a tempting offer, a worthy team, and fight me. These will all kind of give you a drive, which is a bit highlighted in blue. You're looking to try and resolve that drive as part of the game. It will also give you a question that will either link to another player or to a connection, and then a couple of sort of more detailed questions to get a bit more about your character. So essentially, everyone should take one of these. We'll do that when we get back after the break, but I just thought I'd introduce these now so you know what we'll be doing. And if you see in the traits tab, there's just a list of these in text, if it's a bit easier to read them that way rather than trying to flick through drop downs to see what all the different ones are. So as I said, there's those first 5, so you'll pick one of those each, and obviously each of those has to be a different one, and then the ones numbered 6 to 10 we will pick up. We'll also be picking one of those as your like secondary trait. also, if one of the ones that's on the top doesn't get chosen, you can also then choose it as your secondary one, essentially, if one of those appeals to you. The only restriction on these is that at least one of your traits has to relate to another player, just so it has to have orange text on that linking thing. But we'll cover all that properly in a minute. I just wanted to let you know now. So I'll say if we take a 10-minute break now. If people want to be having a quick look over those, seeing which of those traits appeal to them, then when we get back, we will start with our character creation. So yeah, I'll see you all back in about 10 minutes time. So yeah, as I mentioned, we'll be wanting to start off with essentially one of these kind of key traits, as it were. So I'm going to ask in terms of if any of these traits, any of the primary ones in the first instance that particularly calls out to you, we'll kind of select which of those we have, and then we'll sort of go from there. So my order has shifted around slightly. So Brandon, I'll start with you. Is one of these, one or more of these traits particularly calling out to you?
I think numbers 4 or 5 are the ones that say either having played for a powerhouse or having a chip on my shoulder.
Yeah, awesome. That sounds good. And Stephen, how about you? Any of these traits calling out to you in particular?
I think maybe 1 or 10.
Yeah, sure thing. That sounds good. Maria, how about you?
I am interested in 2, but I'm also very flexible, so I can also take whatever there is left.
No worries, not a problem. Anders, how about you?
Of the 5 first ones, the only one I'm not really interested in is number 4.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
awesome.
I'm up for anything.
Sure. So if my memory serves, that would make Stephen 1, Maria 2, Anders 4, and Brandon 5. Does that?
No, he said 4 was the one he was not interested in.
Oh,
Yeah.
so sorry.
I'll take 4, and that way Anders can have his choice.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. I think I'll take 5. I want to now that there is a hothead version, I want to play
And
into
so
that.
4 and 5 have purple, so both of them need to pick at least 1 more, right?
Both of them. Anders and Brandon, you will need to pick one of the. I'm just going to hide this middle column for the moment. You will both need to pick a relationship that has an orange. A trait that has an orange question in it. That can also now include number 3, if you so wish, because that's not been chosen by someone else.
I think I'd like number 7, please.
Sure, that sounds good.
If somebody wants to be Sibs.
No worries. And yes, Stephen and Maria, you can choose a trait that has a purple or a pink, I think, on the cards question, or you can choose another one that has an orange one, but obviously just bear in mind that Anders and Brandon will need to pick one with an orange one. So
and we only each get to pick it once, right? We don't have doubles.
That's right.
traits.
Although,
Okay.
like, if two people really want the same one, it won't be a huge issue. But yeah, I think for preference, pick different ones.
Yeah.
Did you have one you were looking at, Anders?
Not really. 9 maybe.
Double rivals. So many rivals. Sorry.
But I'm fairly flexible, but I have Brandon to 7, so I have to take 8, 9, 10, or
3, I think.
3, and 3 doesn't quite. It feels weird to be tempted by an offer for another team when you're sort of proudly standing up for your own team. So I guess it's 8, 9, or 10, and I think of those, 9 is the most interesting.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Oh, Maria, are you fine with me taking 10?
Yeah, go ahead and take it. Oh shoot, now I have to pick. That leaves 3 and 8.
Also 6 and 7 because you already have a, or 6.
Right.
All because you already have a.
Yeah. Let's just be on brand.
Yeah,
I was going to say. I was.
I mean, let's just be on brand.
Awesome. Cool. So what we'll do in a second, I will give you I'll give you all as long as you need to just come up with your characters, a little bit about your character. So name. Name is probably the most important thing at the minute, and just like their general vibe and all that sort of stuff. And then there's obviously the school year thing, which we don't need to worry too much about. As I said, technically the names we're looking for are lower fifth, upper fifth, lower sixth, and upper sixth, which is sort of like the last 4 years of high school, respectively. So if you want to pick one of those, that's cool. But again, doesn't matter too much. The other thing you'll want to do is start thinking about those traits. So as I said, the bit in blue, the little bit in the blue box, is your drive. That is something that you are trying to do, trying to achieve, trying to move towards. Usually, I think they're sort of mostly framed into a sort of binary choice sort of thing, but not all of them are. In full on, basically, you get the opportunity to move towards completing these during play. During the upkeep phase at the end of each cycle, essentially, we will check in and see if you think you have completed one of your drives. If so, we'll make a note of that, and you will earn a point of spirit for that. Spirit can be quite valuable in resolving the results of games. So one might conjecture that trying to achieve at least one of your drives in the first cycle is probably a good thing. So keep that in mind when thinking about what you want to be doing with your character. There's obviously just like a little bit of descriptive text on there. Then there is a question. This will, as I said, is either in orange or in reddy purple. If it is in red, that red purple color, that will be a connection. That is an NPC that we will create. If it is in orange, then that link will be to another player. So we have quite a lot of interplayer connections here, which is cool. So we'll build those out. So the first thing, once everyone has sort of is in a position where they're happy kind of introducing their characters, we'll go around, we will do those initial links between all of the team members. Then we'll go on to making your connections. Oh yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I'd like to actually establish a connection first, if that's all right, David, because I've got such a trenchant one, which is a sibling.
Yeah, sure thing.
And I would like to propose, Maria, that we are siblings.
But then I can't romance you.
Okay, well, if you want, okay, fine. Then
I need options.
If you want that, I'm happy to be the object of romance.
I mean, but alternatively,
because I love romance.
Maria, what if the two of you are identical twin siblings?
That is fair. Can we be identical twin siblings?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I will change my last name to match if you do not want to have the last name.
Gregory is perfectly good.
Okay.
Last name. Yeah. I'm just thinking it's like Lawrence and Lewis. And the fashion for parents naming twins somewhat similar names.
Brilliant. Yeah, and then so the final bit we have under each trait is another 2 questions. These are kind of, you don't necessarily have to answer those, but we'll kind of, once we've done like initial introductions and devising your interplayer links, you might then just want to think about those questions that have been put to you and any further details on your words, any further details of just about your character in general that those questions drive out, or anything else you want to will then sort of pick up on. Then we'll do, as I said, creating connections. We will create 2 connections for every character, so every character will have 2 connections, but just if you have a red question, that kind of sets someone that one of your connections has to be something that will answer that question essentially. The other thing with connections is that one of your connections will have to be from one of the rival teams. That's the only other restriction on the connections that you create, is that one of them has to be a rival player. The other can be anyone that's important to you. It can also be, again, another rival player if you want. Or I think in theory, we can create NPC members of your team as well. I think that's kosher, but yeah, anyone else that's important to you, we can do. We'll then get on to sort of what happens with connections in a minute anyway. But yeah. So
where should we put the answers to these questions? Anywhere that we can
probably stick them in the description and further notes section.
Yeah, it's probably the best bit, just because it's a little more open. But but broadly speaking, wherever's cool. But yeah, so I think everyone has names at least. So I'll excuse me, sorry, my throat's giving out on me. So I'll go through in order that we have people on the character sheet now. So if you just want to tell us a little bit about who you're playing, Stephen.
I have to take 2. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, no worries. No, we'll take a quick pause there. I will see if I can drink something and stop losing my voice.
Yeah, so I am playing Aiden Chambers, they. I just got appointed the captain. I mean, you know, I think that, you know, Valentine, after he smashed up that garbage can, kind of got taken out of the running, and people got a bit confused as to whether to vote for for Lawrence or Lewis to be the captain, and I ended up getting it, and I think I'll be, you know, very good. I will take us to win.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Next, Maria, yeah, if you would just like to give a brief introduction to who you'll be playing.
Yeah, so I'm playing Lawrence, or Laws, Gregory, he and pronouns. And so far all I know is that I have an identical twin. I quit the team, and everyone, the reason my name is Laws is because people think it's funny that it sort of sounds like loss, which is what I left the team after there were so many of those. And also I really like jazz, which is why I try to sneak to where there's a record player. Yes.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. And yeah, Brandon, if you'd like to give a quick introduction to who you'll be playing.
For reasons we haven't worked out yet, I didn't play on the. This is the Lewis Gregory. For reasons that we haven't worked out yet, I didn't play originally for the Saint Osanas, but played for one of the powerhouses, probably for Shipton Academy. I decided to come back to Saint Osanas to play here, notwithstanding their recent lack of well-realized potential. I have an identical twin in Lawrence, and we are hard to tell apart physically, but personality-wise, we're rather different, as identical twins tend to be. Lawrence used to be a terrific player, and then he stopped for reasons that will be developed, I'm sure, by Maria.
And I think if this is the anime, one of you has like a mole or beauty mark that for some reason nobody is able to notice.
Except the audience, right? The audience can tell us apart, right?
It's just underneath where the tie is, so you have to get pretty close to see it.
But yeah, no.
Well, we used to, when we were younger, we used to enjoy pretending to be one another. We haven't done that in a while, probably.
Nice.
Except maybe in an exam. What a temptation. Which of us, by the way, is a few minutes older than the other one, Lawrence?
I don't know. I was going to be which one of us is smarter, which you can be the older one.
Okay, just because it's just a silly thing, but because back in English public schools, they used to refer to older and younger brothers as major and minor. So it'd be like Gregory Major and Gregory Minor. In our case, they'd still do that, even though the difference is not visible.
Well, you might be older, but I'll pretend that I'm smarter.
Oh, I think you might be smarter, but not necessarily a better cricketer.
I also like the idea that maybe your parents made a conscious choice to send you to two different schools, to give you some time apart, but
maybe we got into a little too much trouble together, and then they found out that we could be trouble apart as well.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. No, thank you very much. And last but not least, Anders, if you'd like to introduce who you'll be playing, and then we'll begin looking at our connections, or our traits, as I should say.
Yeah, I'm playing Valentine Roberts, and if I understood things correctly, then upper sixth is the upper age range for the last year. So he's one of the older boys he's quite a hothead, and that's why he's so insulted when people call him a hothead. I think he's been like off and on the team throughout his time at the school. And I think this is his last year, his last major tournament. He wants a prestigious position just because I think he wants to like impress his older brother or something. It's really important to him that he has gets to do something important.
Is your older brother the coach?
Ooh. Yeah, that would be interesting. Yeah, I like that.
Awesome. We might want to revisit them when we come back to connections in a moment. But yeah, perfect. Thank you. So what we're going to do next is work out how everyone relates to one another based on the traits that you've selected. So obviously we've done the first one, which is Lewis's sibling is Lawrence. So that's our first link sorted out. So the way it actually suggests doing it for this is a different way around to the way I usually do these. So we'll give it a go. And apologies if I keep tripping up and phrasing the question the wrong way around. The way it suggests doing this is basically to go around and ask someone to select which link they would like to answer. I tend to do this the other way around. I tend to say, okay, we'll do this person's question, who wants to be that, but I'll follow the book, as it were. I'll go in reverse order this time. Anders, Valentine, does one of these, one of the orange traits that someone else, does the question on that appeal to you? So one of those that looks good. Actually, sorry, what we'll do first is I will get everyone to, what I will do first is, get everyone to read out the description of their trait and the question for each one you have that has an orange one on it. So Aiden, we'll start with you on that. So if you want to read out the description and the question under our new captain first.
So the kind of spirit triggers heal divisions within the team or pull rank and put your foot down. You've been waiting so long to take this team into your own hands. Time to fix the mistakes of those who came before you. Who have you taken under your wing? What past mistakes are you determined to fix? What worries you most about your new role? And would you like me to do my other orange one as well?
May as well do that now.
Yeah, I also have the final year. Commit to what you will be doing next year. It's your final year and you need to make a decision about your future. So why does everything have to feel so final? Who will you miss most when this year finishes? Why are you still torn up about what to do after this year ends? And what offer are you already considering?
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Lawrence, if you'd like to go through your two traits, and again, just the little description, the orange question that you other people have to answer, and then the other two questions if you wish.
Yeah, so I have quit or returned, which is a few years ago. This game was your life. Then you stopped leaving your teammates abruptly, and now you're back. Can you mend the bonds you tore? And the question in orange is, who did you hurt most when you quit the team? And I'm going to try and restore my friendship or form a new bond in the team. And then the second one is, I've always loved you, which is you've known each other for so long now, yet somehow you've never told them the truth of how you feel. Who do you have feelings for? And yeah.
Awesome. Well, obviously, Lewis, we already know your the destination of your orange link, the sibling with potential. But if you'd like to just read the description out for that anyway, so we.
Absolutely. So I'll do the both of them, right?
Yes, actually, yeah, you might as well do the both of them.
So,
obviously,
the first, a worthy team. Right. Before this team, you played for a powerhouse. Your old teammates were shocked when you came here. They think it's unworthy of your talent. And so which of your old teammates are you closest to? Why did you choose this show over the powerhouse? And what do you miss most about playing for a prestigious team? And then sibling with potential. Your sibling has the talent to go pro, but this team is holding them back. They need to ignore the team drama and focus on their own future. Rich, what ritual do you and your sibling share, and what have you already arranged on their behalf?
Awesome, thank you very much. And yeah, so back around to you now, Anders and Valentine. If you want to, go read out your traits, and then if you want to choose somebody else's orange question that you want to kind of link into.
Yeah, my first trait is fight me. So what if you were suspended for taking them on? They think they can insult your team and get away with it. You will show them otherwise. And that's for an NPC. Which rival always insults your team? And then I have a regular rivalry. There's a position you've always longed to play, and this could be your last chance. Only one thing is standing in your way. Who holds the starter spot for the position you crave? And well, I'm obviously not going to be the sibling. I don't think I should be the one Aiden has taken under his wing, but I like all the other three. I'd kind of like being Aiden's best friend. Like we're both in the upper sixth. We're leaving. Maybe we've been past friends during school. Would that work for you, Stephen?
Yeah.
Perfect. That's brilliant. Thank you. Lewis, if you would like to pick one of the other orange questions out there that you want to answer, that you want to be, as it were. Oh, sorry, Brandon. That was you.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, no, it's okay. Sorry, I
was lost in thought.
No,
okay. So, so I'm picking an orange question.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. So I'll pick. Who did you hurt most when you quit the team, Lawrence?
Yeah.
Feel free to have it be the obvious choice.
Because I was wondering, does that work if we are trading? If both of your relationships point to me, though, like if.
Well, it's just that one of Brandon's relationships points to you, and one of your relationships will point back at Brandon.
Cool. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I need to add a third thing here. Yeah, that works.
Yeah, so that seems to time nicely with the two of them. That makes a lot of sense.
Right, because that ties in nicely as to why I'm back at Santa Sana.
Yeah.
If it's, we'll have that conversation.
Did you first quit our team to go to the powerhouse team and then come back, or how did that work?
My read of the.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's Lawrence who quit the team. Yeah. Sorry.
No, Lawrence quit playing cricket with the Saint Osanas and quit playing cricket. Our parents had split us up in upper school, so as because we got into too many hijinks in middle school, probably, or something like that. And then they found out that well, we were, that there was perhaps a missing emotional support element once they did split us up.
Can I ask a quick follow-up question?
Of course.
Because you were at the different school, so I would have left the team after you came and joined our school. Is that
What I imagine, and feel free to come up with something else. What I imagine is that we got sent to 2 different schools, and shortly after that, you quit playing cricket.
okay?
And I guess sorry.
And then perhaps then I agitated our parents to transfer me to St. Osana's.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they gave in, and they finally gave in.
Yeah.
And so I'm back here, but we'll have this conversation. But I mentioned that that's the timeline of events.
Okay.
That you quit after, quit playing cricket midway through the first year or beginning of the second year at St. Osana's.
Yeah,
and then I came back.
And I'm wondering if maybe part of the reason for that, hurt, as it were, is perhaps like when you were still in separate schools, like meeting up at cricket matches was one of the few times you saw each other, sort of thing. So when Lawrence quit playing, it
oh yeah, absolutely. There's a whole big ball of wonderful stuff in there.
Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing. There is a just FYI, and in case you want to do this, and I heard this from a friend who is an identical twin, that she says that she and her sister have a commonplace thing in identical twins, which is separation anxiety. That if they don't see each other for a prolonged period of time, that it starts to affect their emotional health. And this is even though they're rather different people. One's introverted and one's extroverted. But it's a twin thing even more than it is, a sibling thing in general. And that's there if you want to put that.
Awesome. Cool, thank you. Lawrence, if you want to pick one of the other available orange questions to take for your own, or to answer, however you want to phrase it. As I say, they're doing it this way around just confuses me.
Yeah, I feel like it doesn't make sense. Well, in a way, I've already kind of done this because I have taken who is your sibling.
Oh yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
If we can we'll have to have, because of the number of questions we have out there, we'll have to have a couple of duplicates anyway. So if you want to, if there's one out there that you think makes sense for you to take and want to take now, feel free. Otherwise, we can come back around to you after everyone we've gone around again.
The one that I was looking at, if I get another one, is who have you taken under your wing from Aiden? Like that Aiden has taken me under the wing as the new captain, who is taking back like the quitter, and maybe this is a new start for both of us, if that works.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know if you were captain when you probably weren't captain when I left the team. So
no, I'm the new captain.
Yeah, I've never been under your command.
Yeah, and I think I probably will if it's okay with you, I'll be the person you've always loved.
Okay.
And I think probably there is some level then of jealousy over Valentine, because I mean, you're probably convinced that I'm secretly in love with them, because I am. And so like there's like just been too much time with him.
Yeah. Actually, can I can I like rewind a bit and say,
Sure.
if you're going to be the person that I'm in love with, can I not be taken under your wing?
Okay.
And leave that open for someone else? Because I feel like me being in love with your character is
you're just
already
like
a
my
lot.
little brother. You're just like my little brother,
no.
Lawrence.
Oh no. Oh no, you can have that without necessarily having a mechanical. If someone else wants to be the person who takes the orange one under you, Captain, I will just feel like there's already a lot for Lawrence.
It doesn't feel right for me to have that one, I think. Unless, or actually maybe, no, I shouldn't have both.
Excuse me, guys, I need to take out 5 minutes.
Yeah,
No worries, Brandon. Although yes, that is probably true. Actually, taking both from the same person probably doesn't make as much sense.
No. But maybe then Lawrence is the one who holds the starter spot that I want because they're so super talented. Yada yada yada.
So I just muted myself when I meant to do the opposite. I'm wondering, just looking at which ones we have had taken and how the others marry up. I'm wondering, if maybe, if like I said, if
maybe I've taken your brother under my wing, and
that's it.
Yeah,
and everything else is the.
Lawrence has the position that
oh yes,
Valentine wants, but I doubly don't deserve because I quit.
because now Lawrence has the starter position that Valentine wants, but Valentine has the starter position in my heart that Lawrence wants.
So that is, I think that probably makes sense to do. We'll check in with Brandon when Brandon's back, if that's cool with him. I think as Brandon said, he'll be a few minutes. If we take our next break now, we'll just go for about 5 minutes this time, I think, give or take when Brandon's back again. The next thing we'll be doing is obviously going through and creating your connections, which are essentially your NPCs. So again, if you want to start thinking about who you might like to have under there. Oh, hey, Brandon.
I have a contractor over, so
no worries, not a problem. We were just saying we think so. We just wanted to check in with this, if with you, if that's okay. Just looking at what remaining links we have left, it probably makes sense if Lawrence is the person who holds the position that Valentine wants, and Lewis is the person that Aiden has taken under his wing. If that's okay with you.
Yes, that would be fine.
Yeah, cool.
And so I mean, it's taken under wing. Probably because Lewis is having trouble.
New to school.
I think that's why you think I've taken you under my wing.
Okay,
I'm eyeing you to be the next captain after I graduate.
Okay.
Cool.
And I can think all sorts of things. So I'll let that develop.
No, that's perfect. But yeah, as I said, I think we will take our next break.
Oh man, and then Lawrence is also. I'm just spending all my time with your brother, Lawrence.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote something down about why I quit the team in the first place, and there's just a lot of this is very confusing.
Excellent.
And of course, this is a freaking snowball, right? Because I'm back here because you quit.
Yeah. And obviously encouraging Lawrence to do really well.
Because
Valentine
you're actually, I like to say that I can play better than you can, because I ended up at the better school, but it was happenstantial, and you're actually the better player.
I'm the better player when I don't have to look at Aiden being so distracting.
That's right.
Awesome.
So I have to cock block you. Not that anyone in the British 20s would use such a term.
Yeah, but no, that's perfect. Will said we'll take a quick break here. When we get back, we will do our connections, which said are the sort of the NPCs who are related, well, not related necessarily to you, but who have relationships with you. One of these for each of you will have to be someone from one of the rival teams. The other one can be anybody you like, who is sort of important to your character. Obviously, for those for Lewis and Valentine, one of your connections has to be like the answer to that question. So for Lewis, an old teammate that you're closest to, and for Valentine, a rival who always insults your team. So those
so the two connections. So you want one connection is a non-player character and one is a PC.
Yeah. No, sorry. Both of the connections are NPCs.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
But one of them has to kind of fulfill that category in your purple
right.
trait, essentially. And everyone has to have one connection who is a rival player. I think for both Valentine and Lewis, your kind of mandatory connection is a rival player. So that kind of, it's two birds with one stone for that. But cool. So yeah, we said we'll take a quick 5-minute break and have some thoughts on your connections, and we'll get stuck into those when we get back. Yeah, awesome. So we'll introduce the connections that you have all come up with. So I'll just go back around in character keeper order again. So I will start with you, Stephen, and just ask you to introduce the two connections you've created. The other thing we'll be doing, just again, so people bear this in mind when they're hearing descriptions of them. Again, if you play Good Society, you'll know, you'll be familiar with this. You will each be picking one connection from another character that you will kind of take on responsibility for playing. The general guidelines around this are that you should ideally pick a character that you're unlikely to interact with your main character, just to reduce the chance of you being put in a position where you have to have a conversation with yourself, essentially. So try and pick one that you think won't necessarily impact on your character as much. If we get to a scene where it is natural that both your main character and your connection will be present, I can take over playing them for the time being, whatever, should that be the case. So don't worry overly much about it, but just as a guide to who you think you might be interested in playing, just bear in mind that you don't want to be playing somebody who's too connected to your main character. Say, for example, if, which I don't think is the case, but if Lewis and Lawrence had, or sorry, I should say, if Lawrence had put in the connection of his mother, then it would probably be best if Lewis didn't pick to play her, because he is also, well, it's not necessarily Lewis's connection is just through dint of that familial relationship, probably also their mother, well, is also their mother because they're twins. So yeah, as an example. But yeah, and as I said, for this one, because I'm facilitating, you'll only be playing one other connection, and I'll be playing the remaining connections and any other NPCs that may be required in any scenes. So yeah, Aiden, if you would like to tell us who your connections are.
Yeah, I am introducing the connections of Dominic Dom May, he, him, who Aiden is dating, maybe. His statement is, I think Aiden is cute and he scratches an itch. He's the rival team captain. We snogged once at an inter-team party, maybe more. And I think whenever that comes up, Aiden kind of looks down at the ground and kind of kicks the dirt and blushes. And Lennox Thomas, or Sir, Saint Osana's headmaster, who fancies himself Aiden's mentor. I think Aiden is a kindly soul, which effectively means naive and stupid, who needs some good sense beaten into him by either me or the world.
Excellent.
Yes.
I like that.
It's about toughening them up.
Exactly.
Yeah, and he wants the team to excel, as I note. So what if they break a few bones on the pitch?
Perfect. Thank you. For Dom, I don't know if you had which of the teams you had in mind, but just looking at the balance of things, maybe. Well, actually, either could work, either Shipton or Hades. I think we've got one. I think so far we have two rival characters from Shipton and one from Hades. So if you want to balance it out, that's cool.
Oh,
but also
okay,
if
right.
you want
We have
to
more
go
than
for,
one. Right, I forgot.
Yeah. So, but yeah, like I said, whichever you are more interested in, feel free to go for that.
We'll put
one.
him on Hades if he's another local team.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Thank you very much. So Lawrence, if you would like to let us know who your connections are.
Yeah, so we've got Penwick Kingsley from Shipton Academy, position to be determined. He is a rival, and if this is okay, possibly while Lewis was at Shipton, had a crush on Lewis a little bit. But Penwick thinks that Laws is a sniveling boy. He was too weak to make it without his twin. He's one of those like angelic bully types where he looks very pretty, but is actually kind of mean. He's very good at cricket, and he's not afraid to get physical on and off the pitch, but he always makes it look like it was an accident. He's possibly a little mad. I did not finish the sentence. He's possibly a little, oh no, you just can't see it. He's possibly a little mad that Lewis had to leave Shipton to go babysit his younger brother. Younger by like 3 minutes.
I thought it was possible that he was just possibly a little mad, but
also that either way works. And then my other connection is Cornelius Asquith, I don't know, who is the team manager / helper / person who is not on the team, but like is always there at practice. I don't know if that's a thing in cricket. He's Lawrence's best friend. He thinks that Lawrence, because I can't spell, is absolutely cracking, just a jolly fellow, best taste in music this side of the Atlantic. He should really just tell Aiden how he feels and get it all out there. No reason to hide any of these feelings. We've got music to speak our soul, blah, blah. That type of person. He's got thick glasses, excellent at maths, absolutely hates playing cricket, but loves to keep track of runs, knows that Lawrence is absolutely in love with Aiden and thinks that he has a chance, and also that Aiden isn't one of those people who would not be cool with that.
Awesome, thank you. And yeah, no, absolutely. Like a kind of scorekeeper is a perfectly reasonable thing to have someone be attached to the team.
Probably
nice.
probably wrangles some of the team equipment.
Yeah. Oiling the bats and all that.
The bats and the bales and things that don't belong to any individual.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. So yeah, Lewis, if you'd like to introduce your connections.
Yes. So the first is Freddy Preston, who's a student at Shipton Academy. And I didn't put in this relationship. And sort of ex-best mate, I think, describes it. They became fast friends at Shipton, and so he was crushed when Lewis left, and probably it's a mixture of wistfulness and resentment over it. It's like just packed up and just it's not there's nothing romantic in it, but they pretty much were kind of inseparable in the way that schoolboys are, and Freddie hasn't found anyone else to fill in the gap. And the other one is a teacher at St. Osana, who's Madeline Thompson, who teaches music and arts. She used to be a dancer, and it shows she's relatively young, with long black hair that she keeps pulled back in a bun, and it seems that half the school are infatuated with her. In the way that that young boys are. Lewis plays the piano, although he doesn't do it as much time to it as Ms. Thompson would like. She's persuaded that he could go to graduate school in music if he put his mind to it, and knocked off that infernal ragtime, which is what he likes to do when he's supposed to be practicing classical music. And of course, cricket is getting in the way too. I mean, everything really. That's not. He has his studies, and then he should be practicing the piano. And in her opinion, but she's exasperated more than she's not a hard person. She's just afraid he's wasting his talent. She doesn't suffer wayward young boys. Well, of course, no one does at an academy like this. And there have been plenty of people who have seen the sharp side of her tongue when they've failed to take her classes seriously. But she has a soft spot for Lewis because of what she thinks that he is capable of. If only she could find the magic way to light a fire under him.
Brilliant, thank you very much. Valentine, who do you have as your connections?
I have Timothy Roberts, my older brother, who is the coach, as previously established. He was in the war. He's suffering from trauma from there, but people call him a coward. He, of course, cares deeply for his younger brother, but he doesn't show it because he's British. And that sort of thing, and also the whole complicated thing with him being the coach and Valentine being on the team. It's a bit messed up. He also messed up, but complicated. And he also thinks that Valentine is a bit spoiled and temperamental and needs to grow up. So that's Timothy, and then I have Lionel Bernard, who is the next door neighbor, same age, used to play all the time when we were younger, but now we go to different schools. So he goes to Hades, and at first it was kind of a playful rivalry, but it's become more serious, not least due to Valentine's hot temper. So he's the one I got into a fight with when he insulted our team.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you very much. With that, we'll come back around to Stephen. Is there one of those characters that you are, one of those connections for one of the other players that you are interested in taking on?
Yeah. I will take on, well, no, he is the coach. So I think I'll probably leave that to you, David, since he'll probably interact with all of us. Yeah, I will take up then Penwick Kingsley.
Awesome. Cool. And yeah, Maria, is there one of those characters that you would like to take on?
I think I kind of want to be Sir Lennox Thomas.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, to clarify, he is not a knight.
Oh, we just call him Sir.
Yes.
All right, Lennox Thomas then.
But yeah, no, by all means, that's cool.
I want to be an angry old man.
He doesn't want to hear your name on his lips. His name on your lips.
We only refer to him as Sir.
Excellent. Brilliant, thank you. And yeah, Brandon, any of these characters appeal to you in particular?
Let's see. Maria took my choice, so I think I will try. I can't take Cornelius because there's too likely to be involved in three-way conversation. So I think I'll take Lionel Bernard.
Sure thing. And yeah, Anders, do you want to take one of these connections? It might make sense to take one of Lewis's, but at the same time, there's no real connection between those two characters. So if there's one on someone else's that's more interesting to you, then go for that.
I kind of want to play Cornelius. I'm not sure if that gets too complicated, if he's too likely to interact with us, but
no, I wouldn't say too much. I don't think there'll ever be any pressing need for you to do so. So yeah, if you want to do that, that's fine. Because yeah, like I said, it's not particularly likely that Freddy and Madeleine will be in the same sphere anyway. So it doesn't matter if I'm playing both of them, as it were. So that's,
yeah, I think Cornelius seems like a fun character to play. So I'll go.
Sure thing. Awesome. So I will take the remainder. That was myself in those so that I remember. Perfect. So that is our initial connection set up. So I think we are probably not going to get into the actual the event for this phase, but that is not a problem. What we will do, I think, is topsy-turvy, though it may seem. We will start with our opening credits and then finish there for the evening. So the way the opening credits scene works is kind of how you might expect from what it's called. This is kind of like the little montage we get as we see the our show begin. So what I will do is I will be asking you to answer a couple of prompts. These are for you to kind of describe maybe something about your character or something about the school or something else, depending on exactly what the prompts are. And then you just give like a little short description of that scene. as I think of these more as like little vignettes, little visual moments. It doesn't have to make any particular sense. It doesn't have to be any particular story to it. It's just something to give us a bit of a hint, about the characters. Actually, we'll see. We might. Yeah, no, I think that's what we'll do. So yeah, sorry. That was we will start off with I think a shot through the hills and moors of around the school. We'll go through fields with sheep grazing in them. We'll go through the local town where we can see a big mill, a big wool mill, spewing smoke out from the chimneys. The streets are filled with, the streets mostly have a lot of, still have a lot of horses and carts carrying, milk cans and barrels and all sorts around, but with a few more modern trucks and cars around as well. We'll come in for a view of the school, which is this big old Gothic grey stone building looking bleak out against the backdrop of the moors. Looks old and maybe just a little decrepit, and certainly has that kind of, in the sort of the early morning, has this sort of chill mist wreathing it. We come up to the cricket field, where we see some indistinct figures dressed in white and sort of jumpers and caps, going through some bowling and batting practice, even as the sort of the mist is still being burnt off by the thin morning sun. And I'm then going to ask everyone to describe I think a snapshot of your character playing with intense focus. We'll start with you, if that's okay. Aiden, we'll see a moment of you playing with intense focus. What sort of the visuals that we get for that?
So yeah, I guess so is this like we're doing a full kind of practice game, or is it more
this can be anything. This is just think of this as like your like character introduction bit in the opening credits, so it doesn't necessarily have to relate to any specific place or time. It's just a kind of how you look when you're playing with this intense focus more than anything else.
Yeah, well, I think I will be kind of playing, at least in this practice game, in the kind of position you brought up that's usually held by the captain. And I like the idea that like as like someone is throwing the pitch, I glance over and like I think like they're like for like cardio or something, that like the boys from like Hades prep are like running by, and I I see Dom, and then like look back down at the ground blushing, and like miss the ball as it like hits me in the chest.
Awesome, thank you. Lawrence, what's the sort of the moment that we get of you playing with intense focus?
I mean, I think this is I just had this thought that it was maybe the same practice game, that Aiden was in, and like Lawrence is now batting, and there's just like intense staring as the ball comes towards, and the like grip on the bat is not a baseball grip, and it's like I think you can see like the knuckles are white, but then there's like a noise, looks over, sees that like the mishap has occurred to Aiden, and um I feel like the ball and the bat do not have a great angular relationship, and despite all of the intense focus, it like bloops off into way too close to be considered an on-purpose short ball.
Oh, I was really hoping that you were gonna like straight up be the one that like sent that ball at me. Like, because there's a little anger there. There's a little anger.
Okay.
So, or does it?
No.
Does it pop up for an easy out? Does it glance off and hit the wicket?
I think it's just like glances, like it just like hits the bat and just like goes straight down. So I don't even know if that counts as anything. But it was not great physics.
Yeah, perfect. And we're already beginning to see why it is that this team is so bad. But
I'll add to that vignette. That's mine, which is the what you see, and perhaps these things are shot out of order, but you can tell they're related. So you see Lewis looking, biting his lip in determination as he tosses up the ball a foot or so and grabs it in his hand, and then goes into this ferocious charge and bowls this vicious little spinning thing that hits the ground and arcs in hard towards Lawrence, who barely makes contact with it, and I imagine that it glances off and hits the bails or something like that, and Lewis's shoulders just slump, and he sighs, tries, then catches himself and tries not to look too disappointed. Next one will be great.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. And Valentine, if you'd like to describe a moment where again you're playing with intense focus.
Yeah, I think this is like 3 quick clips. The first is Valentine facing off. He's holding the bat. He's facing off with the bowler on a opposing team, and he's staring daggers at him. Really, he's looking very focused, very angry. And then he's running, and he's probably, I don't know anything about how this works, but he's not. He probably does like skirts something where he should have run across, that sort of thing. And then he's facing off with the one of the umpires and in basically a shouting match with him before he gets sent off.
Awesome. And the next question is, if you could all narrate I think we'll go with a snapshot of your character doing something they love. So I think I'll go back the other way this time. So I'll start with you, Valentine, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's interesting. I really like this thing with having something outside of cricket that they really like, but I haven't figured out what that is for Valentine yet. Maybe I could, you could skip ahead and I'll jump in later.
Sure, no worries, no worries. So yeah, Lewis, how about you? If you'd like to describe a snapshot of your character doing something that I love.
Yes. So he's at the piano, and he's playing something which is like a a Beethoven piano concerto. He's practicing a little bit of Beethoven piano music, but after a couple of measures, it begins to morph into something else, and it ends up in a 20s pop song. It's it's popular in Britain. It like like I don't know, Swanee or something like that, or Ain't Misbehaving. It's come over from but he just imperceptibly transits from the classical piece into the pop piece, into little embellishments on the top end, and silly little bass runs, bum, 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 things like that. And he's obviously having fun. And then there's like a sound of an opening door on the corridor, and he abruptly stops and takes his fingers off the thing and starts back again on practicing classical music.
Awesome, thank you. And Lawrence, again, just a snapshot of you doing something they love.
Yeah, I think this is a shot. Like, it's nighttime. We're in like some place that has lots of wooden paneling. I think it's dark and the lights are off, but there is a phonograph or whatever the appropriate period musical playing record instrument is. And I think it's like a shot of like Cornelius and Lawrence, and there's like maybe even like a glass of smuggled away sherry or something, and there's just like some sort of tinny jazz music that's definitely that they nicked from like some upperclassman who has somehow imported a whole bunch of records, but they're just like sitting there and like doing that thing where they're pretending to really appreciate it and think very deeply about it with their tiny glasses of sherries in their hand, but really they just like how it sounds and don't have a deep understanding of music. Well, maybe they do, but in this moment, they're not really doing that.
Awesome.
Oh, yes. And the pop song, by the way, was Tootsie Goodbye. I realized.
Yeah. After
thinking about it for a moment, because it's so perfect. It's just a little dance number.
Nice. Aiden, how about yourself? What do we see Aiden doing that he loves?
Oh yeah, I've just been thinking, because I think Aiden does something very dorky with all sincerity, and I think that we see him in like hiking shorts and like proper boots, and like with like a pair of binoculars around his neck, and he's like out birding.
Nice. I like it. That's cool. Thank you. And to come back around to you, Valentine.
Yeah, I think Valentine loves dancing, and he's been taught like proper ballroom dance, but he doesn't care what it is as long as he gets to move to music. But I think we see him at some sort of social gathering where he's dancing. And he's, of course, dancing with the girls, but I think he spends more time looking at the boys while he's dancing with the girls. But it's not a romantic or sexual thing. It's just he just enjoys dancing.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I like that. I like that. Thank you.
Probably could get Lewis to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Event, you know.
I kind of like this theme of music. I think Aiden's kind of left out of that, but that feels it's right somehow.
Yeah, awesome. We actually, as I said, we have we'll be having an event as now the first part of our next session. So where sort of there's something going on. So I'm wondering if there's maybe some sort of summer fete type thing going on in the village that you've all kind of you're all allowed out to, or something like that. Might be a cool place to start off. Well, I mean, cool given the 1920s English countryside, but that might be a good place for us to get kicked off next time. So yeah, I like that. So yeah, thank you. And I think, as I say, that is where we will leave things for tonight. As there's no point in us getting stuck into the event right now, because we've only got 15 minutes left. But yeah, thank you very much, everyone. We've got a lot of great stuff out tonight, so I'm going to stop our recording